With Chapter 300 bringing the NEO EGOIST League arc to a satisfying end after literal years and 150 chapters, we are left with easily the best selection of matches we've ever seen in Blue Lock. And with those matches come some of the most insane goals I've ever seen. So with us having no chapter this week, I took it upon myself to rank my 10 favorite goals in this arc, from 10 being the worst to 1 being the best. Lastly, before we dive into it, I want to explain how I'm ranking these goals in my own biased way. There's 4 factors. First, narrative significance. How important was the goal to the story? Second, flashiness. How cool did the goal look in terms of physical execution by the player, and of course the manga art? Third, stakes. If the stakes are at an all-time high with either an insane matchup or the score tied, there's a good chance that the goal's gonna rank higher. The last and most important factor, my own personal bias. This is my list after all, so of course a lot of the rankings here are gonna be completely biased, and I expect a ton of you to disagree with it. In fact, I feel like if everyone did agree with my list, then I simply failed to create an intriguing video. So I hope you guys enjoy it nonetheless. Full spoilers ahead, if that wasn't obvious. And with that out of the way, no more wasting anyone's time, let's get straight to the rankings. At number 10, to kick off this list, we have Nagi's 5-shot revolver goal. 5-shot revolver? Fivefold? I don't know, the translation keeps changing. This goal is probably the flashiest goal we have gotten this arc, and arguably throughout the entire series. The absolute insanity to pull off such a feat where you fake a shot, not once, not twice, not thrice, but 4 times, and then you take the shot. That is an absolutely wild feat that is completely deserving of being on this list. So now you're probably asking, hey Randers, why isn't this goal ranked higher if you recognize how insanely flashy and cool it is? And to that, I gotta say the reason this goal finds itself at number 10 is because even though it's flashy, that's about all there is to it. As far as narrative significance goes, we have Reo and Nagi's dynamic heavily leading up to this where they make the pivotal choice to team up. And I remember reading this at the time being extremely disappointed in both of these characters, to be frank, because it's pretty obvious that this just wasn't the right choice for either of them. At the time, I sort of excused it as lazy writing, but now seeing where we're at, it's pretty clear that even Kanishiro, the writer, knew this team up would be nothing but trouble for them. As for the stakes weren't even that high. It was an equalizer goal, and at this point in the arc, it was obvious that all the games were going to be driven up to the last goal. So having Munchen score here wasn't really a matter of if, it was more of a matter of when and who, and it just happened to be Nagi this time. Still, an amazing goal nonetheless, and I'm proud to have it in my top 10. At number 9, we have a goal that I wasn't even sure would make this list, but after looking it over numerous times and comparing it to the others on this list non-stop, I'm super excited that I get to say Yukimiya's final goal against Munchen City takes the 9th spot on this list. Now, wait. Before you run to the comments ripping your hair out about how I put this goal above Nagi's, and Nagi's a way better player than Yukimiya, calm down. I also think Nagi's a way better player. Furthermore, I don't even think Yukimiya is that good of a player, but this specific goal I do believe is better than Nagi's, and let me explain why. First and foremost, let's talk about how flashy this goal is. We have multiple crazy double spreads, more than Nagi's, and although the sword pierce shot is less cool than the 5-shot revolver, it still looks fantastic in its own right. So if we're going purely off flashiness, although the difference isn't that crazy, I would still put Nagi's goal over this one. But that's not the only factor we're looking at. The stakes on this goal were at an all-time high, with the score being tied 2-2 with the final goal deciding the winner. And I genuinely had no idea which team was going to score, let alone who. And the amount of narrative significance this goal had was absolutely beautiful. Right up until this match started and even leading up to this goal, Kanishiro shed a lot of light on Yukimiya as a character and his philosophy. Seeing that collide with Isagi's philosophy and his own goal to defeat Kaiser to create this goal was such a satisfying feeling. This was an extremely controversial chapter when it first dropped due to the amount of people that wanted Isagi to score. But not only do I think this was perfect, but in hindsight, seeing where the story goes from here, I wouldn't have had it any other way. And I feel like the only people that still say Isagi should have scored here, well, I'll let the Power Fantasy self-insert profile picture speak for itself. At number 8, we have a goal that I knew had to make this list. I just wasn't sure where it would be. But after all the consideration was said and done, I'm more than happy that Kaiser's goal against Ubers took the 8th spot. After Nika and Aiku start combating Isagi's metavision with their own, it feels like Isagi is barely hanging on by the smallest thread until Lorenzo finally arrives to crush all his hopes. At least that's what would have happened if Kaiser didn't show up. But it's not just the fact that Kaiser saved this goal. He transcended literally everyone on the field, and even after being fouled twice, he pulls off one of the most insane shots I have ever seen in the sport of soccer. We get 4 double spreads in a row showcasing how magnificent this goal is, and despite Isagi scoring the final goal of this game, I was genuinely tweaking and wondered if he really stood a chance of winning against Kaiser because of this goal. The stakes for this goal weren't life or death in terms of the score, but they were amped up in a completely different way that felt just as important on top of being straight up awesome, so I'm really satisfied with this goal being at number 8. Fittingly at number 7, we have Kunigami's goal against Munchen City. This is probably one of the very first goals where people may be confused why I even included this one on the list. If anything, most people hate this goal because of how Kunigami robbed Isagi. And the thing is, I hate him as well, but there's no denying how well executed this entire goal was. We get 4 whole chapters of Isagi discovering and utilizing Metavision, and in these 4 chapters, we watched him play at a level we have never seen him do before. At a point, it feels like he has become the god of the field, and when he finally winds up to take his shot, even with Kaiser right in front of him, there's no wrong he can do. We get 7 consecutive double spreads showcasing this goal, most of them having us believe Isagi will score. And at this point, everyone is sure that he will score because there's no way he doesn't. So when Kunigami steals this goal, it is not only one of the most surprising moments of the entire match, but it also reminds us, the audience, that Isagi is nowhere near perfect and still has a lot of growing to do to master Metavision and the rest of his skills. And to top it all off, this goal gives us the Demon Isagi in prime condition, and even if we hate to see this, we love to see this. Despite this goal being so easy to hate, that's exactly why it's so lovable as well. And Kunigami, you bastard, you made the cut. Contrary to the last goal in many ways, this is not only a goal that I'm sure a lot of you expected to be higher in the list, but it's also a goal where Isagi finally proves that even against both of his strongest enemies, he can still come out on top and score one of the most insane goals in the series. The 2-gun volley is probably one of, if not the most iconic goal in the series. This panel is one even newcomers know about, purely because of how raw the imagery is, and you bet your ass it's peak. With 3 double spreads in a row and some of the best imagery, including that panel at the end I just mentioned, there's no argument that this has all the flashiness you could ever ask for. Narratively, there were so many moving pieces involved in this goal. Kunigami's pass that nobody expected because Isagi realized his original ego is still alive, the cooperation from Hiyori to create a 3x ultimate chain, and the destruction of both his rivals. While the stakes may have been at an all-time low, this goal simply compensates in so many areas that it had to be at least this high on the list. We're now getting to the point where the goals I've mentioned have so much narrative significance that the ranking is simply undeniable. And this goal is the perfect one to kick off that trend as it stands out from the rest, which is perfect considering this goal belongs to King Baro, as he scores the equalizer in the Ubers match. This goal is not only one of the best looking in the entire arc with multiple spreads, one where the artist literally drew a fucking impact frame that would put most monthly manga to shame, but it also has such an emotional impact with the story revolving around it. The Snuffy and Mick backstory is genuinely one of the better ones in the series, and seeing how Baro utilizes this goal to reignite the spark in Snuffy was so profound, and it gave me a ton of respect for both of their characters. While the stakes again may not have been at their highest, the narrative significance more than makes up for it, and we even get to see some of Demon Isagi peek out. Personally, I'm really glad Baro made this list, especially in the top 5. And hey, picking up right where we left off in the Ubers match, Isagi and Hiyori's no-look goal snags the 4th spot on this list. This is by far one of the most epic feeling goals. The first time I read it, as well as many of my friends, when we made it to this part, we genuinely could not believe what was unfolding before our eyes. To even appreciate the goal in itself, we need to look at what led up to it. We of course have Hiyori's awakening that is honestly one of the better mid-match awakenings we've seen in this series, but we're also supplemented with a variety of insane moments leading up to the goal, such as the Kaiser impact versus direct shot attempt. And even after Hiyori misses his shot, Isagi is able to convince him to try again after telling Hiyori to think reflexively, spitting back the advice he gave him in the 3rd selection. Hiyori finally realizes he has his own ego and expectations for himself, which he immerses fully into. Isagi and Hiyori no longer communicate on the field as they both act reflexively, imagining their own images of the world's best. So without even looking at each other, Hiyori shoots a pass and Isagi lines up for a shot. And if their images of the world's best aligned, they'll both have done exactly what they needed to take the greatest blind shot in history as Isagi sinks the winning goal against the Ubers. With 5 consecutive spreads, the art is undoubtedly phenomenal in the moment, but this goal goes so far beyond that with the moving pieces from numerous chapters before, they all just culminate to deliver one of the best finishers to any match in this arc. With the top 3, the best of the best goals, not just in this arc but the entire series, we're getting into truly insane territory. The goal in this number 3 spot is honestly a moment in fiction I don't think I will ever forget. Just like how you didn't forget to hit the subscribe button, right? The like button too. They're both like right there right next to each other. Please hit them real quick, please. Arguably the man of the hour, coming off of the U20 arc, the character everyone wanted to see again, Atoshi Rin takes a number 3 spot with his crash shot goal. I'm not even going to waste any time. Let's just get straight into how this happened. Hot off of the 3rd goal in the match, Rin begins to realize that everything he has done in this arc has been with the sole purpose of defeating Isagi, and redeeming himself for what happened in the U20 match. He recalls how he felt during that match when he was, well, you know, and how he hasn't felt that again and how he can only imagine himself losing right now. That realization quite literally begins to make Rin mutate as he finally admits that technique isn't enough to bring the best out of him. He needs mental pressure from people like Sai and Isagi to bring out his best performance. He continues to evolve, and as time goes on, his tongue begins to stick out again as well. Isagi realizing that in this state only Sai could stop him, he vows to become Sai's replacement in this match as they both declare they're number one. We follow with more backstory on Rin, revealing that his true ego lies in life or death impulses. And as the ball gets passed around more, Rin finally lines up with a perfect shot course, but he denies himself the right to take the shot, or more accurately, the Phantom of Sai does. Rin realizes that in order to truly put his life on the line, he needs a stronger impulse than this. Isagi, along with everyone else, is terrified as Rin continues to freakishly evolve and demands someone give up their life to him. Isagi eventually declares to himself that he's capable of doing that, and Rin eventually finds a path to make another shot, but Sai's Phantom clouds his braid again, demanding someone give him a new impulse. Isagi bursts through his Phantom, ready to put his life on the line, and Rin, originally thinking that his core shot is blocked, he quickly accepts this challenge, inviting Isagi to collide with him as he confesses that the one person who is able to bring all of this out of him is Isagi, his rival. The two crash together as Rin makes the goal, and even with blood pouring down his face, he can only feel how incredible this all is. And my god, incredible it was. The art for this goal was on point, but more so the character development that went into making this goal possible for Rin lived up to all my expectations, and the U20 match set them pretty damn high. This is truly the culmination of the Rin we've known since his debut in Chapter 40, and watching it all come to this sensational goal is one of the most satisfying payoffs in the entire series and is more than deserving of its spot in the top 3. Unlike Rin's past goal, there is simply no amount of recapping I could do that will do this goal justice. Kaiser's goal in the PXG match doesn't just feel fulfilling in its own right when taking into consideration his own backstory, it's also complemented by Ness's and the 150 chapters he's been in this manga since his arc has debuted. Becoming one of the most intricate characters in a matter of a couple chapters with this backstory wasn't something that felt out of nowhere. It felt like we finally got justification for everything that has happened up until this point with this character. And having him score that goal in PXG, it was simply the next step in his development. Not only does Kaiser's goal have phenomenal art, so does his awakening. To support all of this, we have his backstory, which I believe is far and beyond the best backstory in all of Blue Lock. It tells the story of a villain we know very well and turns him into someone we all deep down can relate to, whether we like to admit it or not. On some fundamental level, every human being has chosen comfort and complacency over growth, even at the expense of others, and Kaiser's character is the embodiment of this ideal. The goal he scores becomes proof that even someone as shitty as him is still worth loving, and you best believe it worked, because this number 2 spot is beyond deserved, and I goddamn do love Kaiser. And I gotta say, at one point in this list, I did have this at number 1. But speaking of number 1, this is really the goal it all comes down to. You all have seen the thumbnail before clicking this video, so you know it's not that goal. And truthfully, when making this video, I didn't want it to be that goal. I didn't expect it to. But no matter how much I reread, no matter which perspective I tried looking at it with, it all led back to one goal being the best among them all. To say Isagi's winning goal against PXG is a perfect way to end the match just isn't true, because truthfully, that goal is the perfect way to end an entire era of Blue Lock. Since chapter 1, we have followed Isagi Yoichi as a kid who loves the sport of soccer, but doesn't know how to be the best at it simply due to the environment he's in not teaching him properly. Ever since arriving at Blue Lock, we witness Isagi lose, grow, win, and do it all over again many times over at different stages in his career. This goal doesn't just feel indicative of where he is as a player now, but it feels like a love letter to everything this manga has ever done, period. By introducing the insane philosophies between talented learners and geniuses along with the 2 primary ego styles, we reach an all-time high in truly exploring what the series is all about. And although it took me a couple rereads to really put all of it together, there's no doubt in my mind that this is not just the best goal in the NEO EGOIST League, but the best goal in the entirety of Blue Lock. Every single moment leading up to this goal can be considered a top 5 moment in Blue Lock on their own, so the fact that they come together to create this masterpiece is nothing short of a 1 in a million event that anyone will ever get to experience in storytelling. Isagi realizing his original ego, stopping Rin, partnering with Kaiser, using Ness's awakening to his advantage, Rin calling Isagi the Demon King, and of course bringing back the gun imagery in his awakened state. This is the number 1 goal in the NEO EGOIST League arc, and even if you disagree with any of my other placements, you cannot disagree with this one. I'm not gonna fight you over it, but just know that you are wrong, and that's how it is. This is my top 10 best goals in the NEO EGOIST League. I'm extremely proud of this list, and this has been an incredibly fun video to make, so if If you enjoyed it, I urge you once again to please like, comment, and subscribe because I do post weekly videos and reviews for every single chapter that comes out. So hopefully I see you then again. Until next time, peace.